In a few seconds, huh? I Yay? Do you hear me now? Is it better? Is that what's okay? Thank you, chat. Oh my goodness. I was just telling the guys, I was like, you're trying to sabotage me. I'm pretty sure the whole point of this is one giant sabotage effort. It is great to be here with you on a Friday. This is Vince. I know it's early for bourbon. I didn't know what to do. We had the sound issues, and I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm just pouring the glass. It is great to have you with us today. It is so great, as always. It is a big news day. And the President of the United States, as we speak, if you're watching live, rumble.com/Vince, he's en route to Alaska, a great American state, where he's hosting a big summit with Vladimir Putin. We'll get into some of the details of what to expect out of that in just a moment. The President has given us a lot of hints this week as to how this thing is going to go. I'll share those with you. Also, we're going to take a closer look at DC crime. I love what the Trump administration is doing. They're cleaning it all up. Doing a very, very good job at that. And I've got a big update for you on Russiagate. We get updates. Are we going to get the prosecutions we deserve? I think that the administration just meaningfully tipped its hand in a very big way that, yes, prosecutions are coming. I've got the details on that all ahead on this edition of Vince. Great to have you here with us, as always. You're awesome. The people who support this show, the sponsors, they're wonderful. Fast Growing Trees is among them. FastGrowingTrees.com. You know, fall is planting season. You know that many plants and trees actually do better when they're planted this time of year. But you have to know where to start. And this is one of the reasons I love FastGrowingTrees.com. It doesn't matter if you live in the sunny South or if the air is getting chilly where you are. The plant experts can help you find the perfect fit for your space. They've got all the plants that your yard needs, like fruit trees and privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, and so much more. And they're so healthy and wonderful. You can order them online, get your plants delivered directly to your door in just a few days without ever leaving home. I've been bragging all year about my redbud tree that I got from fastgrowingtrees.com, and it was so nicely packed. It was packed up in this cardboard arrangement where it perfectly held the tree, and the tree even arrived right in front of my garage. And when I opened it up, it was in perfect shape, and it was in full bloom inside of the box, which was really exciting. So I planted that bad boy right away, and it is flourishing in my yard. You'll love fastgrowingtrees.com. They're awesome. This fall, they've got the best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants and other deals. And listeners and viewers of this program get 15% off their first purchase when using the code VINCE at checkout. That's 15% off, fastgrowingtrees.com. Use the code VINCE at checkout. Now's the perfect time to plant. Use VINCE to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. All right. So the president is off to Alaska as we speak, set for this big summit with Vladimir Putin. Take a look at cut 9 here. The president leaving this morning, ascending the steps of Air Force One, and heading off to Alaska.
He's leaving for his big summit with Vladimir Putin. And you know that some of the Russian delegations already arrived. We saw Lavrov go into his hotel room. He was wearing a CCCP shirt. He's the foreign secretary. And we also know, guys, who the president's going to be traveling with. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Commerce Secretary Lutnick, Treasury Secretary Besson, and CIA Director Radcliffe will be part of the enclave. Big hopes, but the president's being very realistic.
This is a huge moment, not just for the country, but for the world as well. This is the president that he inherited this war. He predicted that something like this can happen, but he's always said that he wanted to be the president of peace, Ainsley. And the question is, does Putin overplay his hand now? Does he think that the president is weak? I bet we get.
All right, so there we go. So the key is whether or not Vladimir Putin plays ball with the president of the United States. Big privilege to meet with the president in Alaska as he's in the air. And headed over there right now. Now, the president has been broadcasting throughout the week his expectations for this summit. And he's been very careful to present it as, look, I'm going to walk into that room and I'm going to assess very quickly whether it's even possible for the two of us to make a deal. In fact, so quickly, it'll happen in just the first 2 minutes. Cut 10, take a look at the president of the United States this week.
Well, we're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be made.
How will you know that?
Because that's what I do. I make deals.
That's what I do. I'm a deal guy. I know. I can smell it. I know whether or not a deal is actually available to me. So within the first 2 minutes, I'm going to have the answer to that. The president also offering on Wednesday of this week that this meeting is going to be a starter meeting with Vladimir Putin, at least for this term, because his goal ultimately is to pull Volodymyr Zelensky, the head of Ukraine, into a meeting between all three of the men so that they can settle this war. Here's the president describing his strategy on Wednesday.
And we're going to meet with, I would say, the second meeting. If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately. And we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself, if they'd like to have me there. And that would be a meeting where maybe it could be absolutely work. But the first meeting will not work that out. Certain great things can be gained in the first. It's going to be a very important meeting. But it's setting the table for the second meeting. I think the second meeting, if the second meeting takes place, now there may be no second meeting, because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have, then we're not going to have a second meeting.
Yeah, and believe him on that. Remember when Volodymyr Zelensky came to the White House and disrespected everybody in the room, to include the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, the White House said, "You're done here. I don't care how far you've traveled. You disrespect us. You don't appreciate the generosity of the United States of America. Get out of the White House." So they kicked Zelensky out. They gave the lunch to the interns or something that they were all planning to have. And Zelensky went home with his tail tucked between his legs for having screwed up that massive opportunity to issue his gratitude and perhaps get some more support from the United States. So right now, the president's in a situation, as you heard him point out a moment ago, and as you heard in the Fox coverage, where he's trying to clean up the mess that institutional Washington and especially the left has made through the years. We never had to get here. It never had to happen. Yet because of the meddling of the American left, of the United States, of the war-happy establishment here in D.C., the situation between Russia and Ukraine has become an utter disaster through the years. In 2014, the United States was involved in orchestrating an overthrow of the Ukrainian government. And once the government was overthrown, it was at that moment that Vladimir Putin invaded Crimea under Obama. It didn't have to happen. We didn't have to meddle on all the affairs, yet we did, and we made things worse. That invasion happens. Putin decides not to take any action like this while President Trump is in office the first time. And then as soon as Biden arrives, Putin senses his opportunity yet again to invade in Ukraine. And he did. And so now President Trump is left, as has been the case throughout his presidency, picking up the pieces of all of the destruction that Joe Biden left behind. And that brings us to today's summit. President Trump is trying to convince Vladimir Putin, although he's been unhappy with Putin lately, that he's got to end this thing. What will it take? The president suggested earlier this week that it may end up with some of Ukraine's territory being, as he put it, divvied up. He says, you hate to say that, but that is in all likeliness the way that this is going to go down. The president's goal is super clear here, as is, I think, any good-natured person's goal here as they watch this and see what they want out of a resolution. An end to the death and an end to the United States being involved in this bloody conflict that has only turned Ukrainians into cannon fodder and has done nothing to weaken Russia, despite Washington's claims to the contrary. It's been an utter disaster. So the president approaches Putin today, and he'll see if he can't get another meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky. But don't be surprised if this thing doesn't go as it's currently scheduled. And here's how it's scheduled. For those of you on the East Coast, it's about 3 o'clock East Coast time. The Russians are saying 3:30. That we will see the president of the United States meet with Vladimir Putin. At the conclusion of their one-on-one meeting, there is going to be a working meal where the delegations get together and they talk amongst themselves over food. And after that, the way it's supposed to go today is we'll get a bilateral press conference involving both President Trump and Vladimir Putin. Now, normally they call these things 2+2s, meaning you get two questions from reporters from both countries to the world leaders that are in front of you. We'll see. Everything about President Trump is unconventional, but just to give you a sense of what might happen later today, that's usually the order of events. But if President Trump isn't satisfied, he's walking away. And one more thing here about what to expect ahead of this meeting. Volodymyr Zelensky is not making this easy for President Trump. In fact, he's kind of making it a bit of a mess in just the last 24 hours. In the lead up to the meeting, Ukraine overnight launched a series of drone strikes on Russia. The Hill has the coverage here. Ukraine launches drone attacks on southern Russia ahead of Trump-Putin summit. Ukraine launching drone attacks on cities in southern Russia, killing one person, injuring at least 16 more, just a day before President Trump meets with the Russian president. A Ukrainian drone hit an apartment building in Rostov-on-Don, injuring 13 people who were transferred to medical facilities for treatment, according to the region's governor. In another attack, Ukraine's drone strike in Belgorod injured 3 people, according to local officials. So a ton of drone strikes flying in overnight. And this is not setting the table for the president of the United States to conclude this. He wants to bring about peace, and Zelensky is trying to sustain the war. He doesn't want this to be resolved by President Trump and Putin today. How's that for gratitude from the Ukrainian government? How's that for gratitude from Zelensky? It's not. And one other piece here about Zelensky and how he's kind of already kicking sand in the face of the president of the United States. Additionally, Zelensky is telling the press this morning that Vladimir Putin stands to benefit the most from this Trump-Alaska summit. He stands to benefit the most. Here you have a giant video in my way as I try and explain this. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky warned that Russian President Vladimir Putin is going to benefit the most from Friday's high-stakes meeting with President Trump in Alaska. Quote, I believe that Putin will benefit from this because what he is seeking, frankly, is photographs. Zelensky told a small group of reporters at the presidential palace in Kiev, including News Nation's Robert Sherman, quote, he needs a photo from a meeting with President Trump. What the hell is Zelensky doing here? President Trump is trying to negotiate peace with Putin. He wants to bring Zelensky to the table so they can have an adult conversation between 3 men to conclude this whole thing. And Zelensky is muddying up the entire process as the president is in the air. No bueno. That doesn't work. And it annoys the hell out of me after all the generosity that we've shown to Zelensky. And boy, he's lost a lot of people. This is a conflict that's, as the president has described it, has lost millions of lives. It is so completely destructive. And good people should want to bring this thing to an end. That's what President Trump wants to do. That's what he's trying to do today. I'm praying he makes progress with Vladimir Putin, but we'll see. We will know very, very quickly. So that's the update today on the president's trip. We'll bring you more as we find it. I'll be covering things live on the national radio show from 12 to 3 Eastern time. You can find that at thevinceshow.com. Check your local listings or come to join us on Rumble, rumble.com/Vince. The chat continues there. And always taking your feedback, chat. Always appreciate that as we go. All right, so that's what's happening. That's President Trump. That's the big summit with Putin today. We'll keep an eye on it. Back home in the United States of America, the effort to get rid of the crime problem in Washington, D.C. continues. In D.C. this week, and especially last night, Thursday night, the federal government was cleaning out all of the homeless encampments all over the nation's capital. Now, the homelessness all across our country in left-wing cities is out of control. Have you noticed this? Are any of you near or around left-wing cities? The panhandling has become insane. People standing on every street corner begging for money, homelessness all over the place, just signs of total societal collapse everywhere you look. And the president hates this. The president gets inside of his motorcade, he gets taken to an event, and he looks outside of his window, and he sees homelessness all over the place, and he thinks to himself the same thing probably you think, and I definitely think, is our country deserves better than this. Allowing people to rot on the streets is not empathy. Allowing them to succumb to the elements is not empathy. Allowing mental illness and drug use to just run rampant in our cities at the expense of the people who are experiencing it and at the expense of the peaceful civilians who are just trying to live in these cities, that's not good. We've got to fix this problem. Yeah, the chat says it's going bad. It's really bad everywhere across the country. Yes, in Rhode Island. Yes, in Colorado. Yes, in California. New Jersey, I'm seeing in the chat. Yeah, you're seeing this everywhere. I live in Virginia, and I see this on all street corners everywhere, and I've seen it increase like crazy over just the past couple of years, truly during the Biden era, coming out of COVID and through the Biden era, just that kind of social decay has really, really grown. Flint, Michigan is bad. Seattle, Minnesota, Chicago, Indianapolis, North Carolina, Phoenix, Worcester, Massachusetts. Boy, I'm telling you, we've got, first of all, I just reminded of how many great Americans we have from all across the country, Oregon, Wisconsin, Wilmington, North Carolina. Yeah. But we're all seeing it. We're all seeing it. We're all experiencing it. So what's the president doing about it? Luckily, he can do something about it. Here we have cut one, D.C., the process of clearing the homeless encampments has begun. They're getting the heavy machinery out, and they're shoving all the garbage away. Take a look at this. The great imagery, important imagery, that finally somebody's doing something about this. I'm hearing from D.C. residents, I'm seeing a lot of them posting to social media, that they've seen these homeless encampments forever. And as a guy who used to commute into the city a lot, I commute really around the perimeter of the city these days, and then I dash in to work at the WMAL studios where we often do this podcast as well as the national radio show. But normally, if you drive through the dead center of the city, if you cross the Memorial Bridge and you go underneath it and head over to East Street and some of the other areas near the White House, what you would often see is just homeless encampments, tents. You would smell it even as you're driving by. It looked crazy, disgraceful. And it's the kind of thing that tourists all across the country are seeing as they're welcomed into Washington, D.C. They're welcomed by this type of sad homelessness. And when people are living on the street, okay. Chat, we back? How do we sound? How do we sound, chat? You hear me yet? People are telling me. Yes, I'm back. Okay, thank goodness. I know chat keeps seeing me every time. Yeah, I know. People are like, where's the liquor bottle in the background? It's right here on the desk. Every time we have a sound problem, I'm just pouring myself a shot now. I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to go with that. You like my shot glass, by the way? It's President Trump with a, let me see if I can conceal my face here. There we go. President Trump, fight, fight, fight. There's a bullet lodged in the side of the glass. Pretty cool stuff. It is good to be back. Trust me when I say that the guys in our production booth are as absolutely frustrated as you are, as I am. Yeah, we hate the sound problems. Thank you for sticking through it with us. Appreciate you for that. Okay, fellas, let's get back into it. Where did we leave off? I was talking about homelessness. Did you guys track the homelessness problem? Did you see the video of the president of the United States has ordered everybody to get out of the way, and they're shoving all of the trash out of the street, which is great. Say that again. No sound again? Are we serious right now? Okay. We hear. Oh my gosh. Now I feel like the chat is trolling me because people said the sound is not here. All right, I'm good. All right, let's thank our sponsors. Thank you, sponsors, for enduring all of this. Hey, could the continued divide between Trump and the Federal Reserve put us behind the curve? Can the Fed take the right action at the right time? Or are we going to be looking at a potential economic slowdown? And what could this mean for your savings? Consider diversifying with gold through Birch Gold Group. For decades, gold has been viewed as a safe haven in times of economic stagnation, global uncertainty, and high inflation. And Birch Gold makes it so incredibly easy for you to diversify some of your savings into gold. if you've got an IRA or an old 401k, you can convert it into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or just buy some gold to keep in your safe. First, get educated. Birch Gold's going to send you a free info kit on gold. Just text my name, Vince, to the number 989898. Again, text Vince to 989898. Consider diversifying a portion of your savings into gold. That way, if the Fed can't stay ahead of the curve for the country, at least you can stay ahead for yourself. Thank you to Birch Gold for being a fabulous sponsor of this program. Data and message rates apply. Birch Gold, baby. All right. Let's get back into cleaning up Washington, D.C., shall we? Because that seems important. So the president's shoving the homeless encampments out of the way, which is great news. And this has been, what's amazing about it is like that the press is stunned. They can't even believe how effective the president is being here. They want to attack him, but those members of the media that have been in and around and live in Washington, D.C., they're even beginning to admit he's actually cleaning things up. Here's a CNN reporter, cut 2, stunned by the sudden lack of homelessness outside of Union Station in downtown Washington, D.C.
I walk by this train station every single day on my way to work, and I have not seen it like this. You can see a National Guard Humvee behind me, and we've seen, I don't know, Josh, if you can pan over, there are a couple National Guardsmen who are walking across the street over there. This is one of the areas of focus that we have heard a lot of concerns about, crime around Union Station, people who are loitering outside. I will tell you, as somebody who walks this route all the time, it does seem like there are fewer people just sort of hanging around.
Yeah, it seems like there are fewer people hanging around. That's a bit of a euphemism for the homeless are gone. The druggies are gone. The psychopaths who scream at you as you're moving in and out of Union Station are gone. Chat, Union Station is one of the most epic, beautiful buildings in our country. It is a national treasure. It's wonderful. The left wants to mess it up, by the way. They want to remodel it into something modern and disgusting and just not worth looking at. The current building is gorgeous, and it should stay that way. And the way things have gone in Union Station, it used to be, if you were here, say, 15, 20 years ago, you could walk into Union Station, and there are all sorts of nice restaurants. It's the kind of place where the Amtrak trains arrive, the Metro trains arrive. It was honestly, really, really nice. Beautiful restaurants all over the place, like really high quality stores. So you could take somebody shopping, you could take your wife shopping, you could go around throughout Union Station. And what the left has done is they've utterly destroyed the place. Now it's been gutted out. Like all of these stores that once existed there, it's just a wasteland. They've all fled. They're gone. The restaurants that were there, so many of them have fled. They're gone. Drug use has skyrocketed. There's medical emergencies there all the time. There's homelessness all over the place. There's beggars. There's people who are screaming obscenities at you that are clearly mentally ill as you're walking in and out of the building. It's a disgraceful way to see a glorious building brought to its knees. And the president hates that. He loves good architecture, and he wants to, as he says many times, make America great again. So they're cleaning things up at Union Station. That's a really key point. And so that CNN guy can't even admit it. He doesn't say the homeless are being cleared out, but they are. They're being cleared out. And it is wonderful. In fact, the people in Washington, D.C. are already starting to feel the benefits of all of this. And they're saying so. Cut 3, take a look here, that in Washington, D.C., people who live here, they're kind of with Trump on this.
I came all the way down Pennsylvania Avenue this morning. So peaceful, young. I don't smell no weed, young. I don't see no homeless people. I mean, I came all the way through the southeast side, all the way down here. You can see now I'm at the White House, jump, man. It's quiet, young.
Yeah. That's a big one. I don't smell weed everywhere. It's usually a sign. You're walking through the streets, you don't smell weed everywhere. You know? No shade at anybody who likes the wacky tobacco every so often. But I'm telling you, if a city smells like weed all the time, that's usually one of the clear signs of social degradation. And he's saying, I'm walking through the streets. This is an unusual experience. We haven't had this in a while. He's grateful that the president is cleaning it up. He's very grateful. Cut 12, there's more D.C. residents very relieved that President Trump has sent out the National Guard.
Hear from city leaders and others that crime is actually down. Are you seeing that?
No, I'm not seeing it. We're seeing carjackings, the violence in the communities. So we were advocating then for the National Guard to come out, but they said it was no need. But think about how many lives could have been saved just having them on the scene.
Yeah. So just gratitude, just normal people, just very, very grateful that things are improving. Here's one. Here's cut 14. Here's a woman saying that, you know who this is really benefiting? It's all of the grandmas who live in Washington, D.C. These are the people who are really going to benefit the most. They're vulnerable, they're helpless, and they desperately need crime to stop in the city. Look at this.
Do you not understand that this is what the residents want? I'm not talking about the bougie upper echelons, bougie blacks. I'm talking about the everyday grandmas that have to deal with these homeless people peeing and pooping on their steps, and then they have to clean it up. They don't feel safe when they walk into their neighborhood. The gangs and the dope boys are just standing around the corner, do you not understand this is what they want? And I remember her praying, and she said, Crystal, we're going to have to invoke the National Guard. And that was so foreign to me. Now I understand the shit. These people are helpless. And I'm not talking about the bougie black people that live in their gated communities with their new bills. I'm talking about the everyday grandmothers. And I'm so glad that President Trump cares about them.
You know what? Are you with me on this? I love these just normal people, actualities, people on the ground who are reacting to all of this. And this is not the way the media represents this. The media do not represent this at all in this way. Just normal people who's like, I've been living in a war zone, and now all of a sudden things are getting better. This is exactly what I wanted. Why would I be opposed to this? I'm all in on President Trump. This is one of those things, we often talk about, like, the news often is full of the awful stuff. This awful thing is happening. This other awful thing is happening. I'm here to tell you, especially on a Friday, I've got good news for you. The president is succeeding, and the people who are in the city adore it. If the people who actually have to experience what it means to live in the city and travel through it are very happy with the president of the United States today. Don't believe what they're saying in CNN studios or anything like that. Now, the grandmas she's talking about probably include grandmas like this lady. Take a look at cut 15 here, a D.C. grandma talking about how much better it is with Donald Trump in charge.
We need all the protection that we can get in the city, because the city is really getting dangerous. A person like me at this age, I have to make sure to come home before sundown.
Yeah. I've got it. So she's happy that President Trump is doing something about this. It shouldn't be in the United States of America. You shouldn't have to be home before the lights are on. Like that. If you're a kid, you should get home to your parents, get off the street. But as an adult American, you should feel safe being able to go outside of your home at night. And she doesn't, or at least she didn't. Not until President Trump got involved. There are, on the street, people are noticing the law enforcement presence has really exploded. Cut 13, here's one guy talking about how he's at one of these metro stations. This is the D.C. subway system. And he noticed that, holy cow, there are cops everywhere. Look at this.
Bro, they deep as shit at Anacostia, Slim. They locking everybody up, bro. You ain't pay for that metro, Slim. You was done. Police officer everywhere, Slim. Look, they not fucking planning this jump, bro. The fuck, they locking everybody up, Slim. Oh, bro. I mean, they just pulled their ass over there, Slim. Done.
Yeah. That's true. Now, here's an area that I want to dwell on for a moment. For those of you who have been here for a long time and are like me, a huge fan of Dan Bongino, you heard Dan talk about through the years what they did in New York City with the broken windows policing. Broken windows policing, very simply, was from the Rudy Giuliani, Bill Bratton era. My goodness. And the whole point of it was that you need to prosecute the small crimes. When people do something that is not, it's not murder, it's not grand larceny, it's graffiti, it's breaking a window. When people do that, if you hold people accountable at the lowest levels, you will prevent them from taking things to the highest and most dangerous levels. It's as simple as that. And you establish a culture of consequences and accountability that makes it really clear to would-be criminals that it's not even good to embark down that road at all, at any level. And so in Washington, D.C., the version of that that we often see is fair jumping, people who jump turnstiles at metro stations and decide they don't want to pay to ride the subway. They jump the turnstile and they take it for free. And then when they get to their other destination, they jump it again. And for years, the way things have operated in DC with the left under control is they don't enforce the law. They just let people get away with it. And then they make excuses for it. Oh, maybe they don't have money. Maybe they've fallen on hard times. We have to have some grace. Don't criminalize that. On and on and on and on and on. Well, that's not what's happening right now. President Trump has taken over the DC Police Department and has deployed federal law enforcement. And they're seeing people fair jumping. They're catching them. They're charging them. They're hitting them right away. And that's good. That's exactly what we need. And that's what that guy was just spotting inside of that metro station, the Anacostia metro station. And here we have Cut 16, another resident saying, look, all of this, in the end, it's the best thing that's happened to the nation's capital in decades.
Do you agree with President Trump federalizing for 30 days to sort of stamp down on crime? What are your thoughts?
I agree with it. I was born and raised in the district, and I've never seen the things that I see today with children as young as 3 years old being shot. They want the crime rate to be brought under control. They want the situation of, like I said, children being shot, seniors being assaulted. They want that under control. Okay. And I believe that this is the best thing that has happened to this city in a very, very long time, for the president to take control and, of the police, of the crime. I think it's a great idea. I really, really do.
Can you do me a favor? At the conclusion of this episode, and once we put these clips out on social media too, can you do me a favor and share this with the people in your life who just do not understand what's going on? There's a tidal wave of negative coverage against the president. There always is, but right now there's a drumbeat of, oh, Trump is a fascist. He's deploying the military. He's taking over the police department. He's raining hell down upon the nation's capital. It's all just garbage. It's all just complete garbage. And then when you get microphones and cameras on the street and you start talking to people who just want to live here and go to work every day, they keep telling you the same thing. Thank God for President Trump. Do me a favor, just help get the message out. I think people need to see these. They really do matter. All right, coming up, I've got a lot more for you. I also want to give you an update on what the United States Department of Justice is doing about the Russiagate villains, the indictments to come. I've got some more details on that. I'm following this closely. I know you are too. So that's why we have to talk about it today. That's ahead on this edition of Vince. After a packed day, there really is nothing better than sinking into a bed that actually helps you recharge. It's a big deal. In fact, it's one of the most essential elements of your health. And this is why I switched to a Helix mattress. And I got to tell you, it's been a total upgrade to my sleep. I love my Helix mattress. Guy, our producer Guy, also has a Helix mattress. He loves his Helix mattress. Our wives love the Helix mattress. Everybody we've encountered with a Helix loves their mattress. It's really good. There's no more tossing and turning, no more waking up sore or groggy. Just deep, that is, comfortable sleep that helps me wake up feeling like myself again. Helix Sleep is an award-winning mattress company that customizes your mattress based on your unique sleep style. So are you a side sleeper? Perfect. Helix can help. Back pain? Helix can help. Run hot at night? Helix has got you covered. They've got options for all of it. All you have to do is go to their website. You just take a quick quiz, and then they match you up with the perfect mattress, and then it's delivered to your door. How much more simple could it get? Seriously, I actually didn't even realize how much better my sleep could be until I tried Helix. Now it's something I do look forward to each night. And here's the best part. Right now, Helix has an exclusive offer for you. 27% off site-wide. That's a good deal. Just go to helixsleep.com/Vince and claim your discount of 27% off. Once again, that's helixsleep.com/Vince. 27% off. It's a great deal. And Blackout Coffee is such a powerful and wonderful and ubiquitous sponsor on this program. You know them. We love them. They're proudly the official coffee of all of us here at Silverlock. And there really is a reason for that. It's because they're bold, unapologetic, and they're America First coffee, roasted fresh right here in the United States. Not grocery store junk. Blackout Coffee delivers rich, high-quality roasts that actually taste like freedom. Yeah, if you could bottle up freedom and then taste it, you would think, boy, it tastes a lot like Blackout Coffee. Hold up. Yeah, I got the hints of freedom on that. Really good. Now you can set it and forget it with auto refill and recurring delivery. And that means no more running out, no more watered down backups, just your favorite roast delivered fresh on your schedule. Pick your favorite roast, how often you want it delivered, and not only do you get a discount, but you also get double the rewards and free shipping to your doorstep. It's delicious coffee. You'll love it. Here's what to do. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Vince. Use the code Vince. That's VINCE. And you'll get 20% off your first order. Whether you're into bold, dark roasts, flavored coffee, or even instant, Blackout's got your back. Real coffee, no compromise. Blackoutcoffee.com/Vince. Get yours now. Thank you to Blackout Coffee. Yeah, I love Blackout Coffee too. I really do. And I'm grateful that they're such a great sponsor of this program. The sponsors are what keep the whole thing going. So every time you help the sponsors, you help us out, which is just a massive, great thing. We've got a great thing going. So thank you to Blackout. All right, let's see what we got here. Is the audio really out? Janito says audio is out. I think I'm being trolled now in small part. Let's see. I've got some stuff here that I want to get to. Yeah, the DC stuff is wonderful. I guess some of the final pieces on DC that I should emphasize is they've ended the sanctuary city status of DC, which is great. I love that. Last night, Pam Bondi released a statement saying that there are no more sanctuary policies whatsoever. That's completely done. And that she has made the head of the DEA now the head of the DC Police Department. I want you to see this. This comes to us from Chad Gilmartin over at the Department of Justice. A summary of what she's up to. Pam Bondi has ordered an end to all of the sanctuary policies in Washington, D.C. Pam Bondi's order issues the following 5 directives. Ready? So we'll go through the 5. 1, the head of the DEA is now in charge of the D.C. Police Department. And so anything the D.C. Police Department wants to do, they need to get authorization from the head of the DEA. That's great. 2, Pam Bondi has just rescinded an executive order that was issued yesterday by the D.C. Police Department. The executive order was a little confusing because it seemed like they were ending sanctuary policies, but they were kind of still retaining some of the sanctuary policies. It was a bit of a mixed bag. Like, we'll cooperate a little bit on turning over illegal aliens into federal custody, but not too much. Pam Bondi got rid of all of that. She said, no, you're ending all of your sanctuary policies. So she did that yesterday as well. Item 3, Pam Bondi has rescinded the Metropolitan Police Department's June 2024 general order limiting inquiries into immigration status. That's another way of saying getting rid of the sanctuary policies. The same is true of point 4. She rescinded another general order that prevents arrests solely for federal immigration warrants. She's saying, no, we can arrest you for a federal immigration warrant. So that's on. They're on like Donkey Kong going after the illegals now. And then point 5. So used to saying the word cut. Point 5 is that the Metropolitan Police Department is now instructed to fully enforce a section of the DC Code which makes it unlawful to crowd or obstruct streets, public or private building entrances, passages through parks, and engaged in unlawful demonstrations after they're told to clear. So she's just saying, we're just going to enforce the law. How hard is that? That's the Attorney General of the United States. And that all comes out yesterday. So that's great news that Pam Bondi here is whipping the DC Police Department into shape. Pam Bondi is exactly who the president placed in charge, and she's doing it now. So that's also fantastic news. Fantastic news. Also, Pam Bondi is threatening to prosecute the leaders of all the other sanctuary cities across the country. Also, some very good news. This is The Guardian overnight. Pam Bondi has threatened prosecution for any leaders who are not complying with immigration officers. She said she's sent all of the sanctuary city leaders letters now, 32 different mayors of 32 different cities and a handful of county executives, warning that she intends to prosecute them if they don't collaborate with the feds on getting illegals out of the country. You better be abiding by our federal policies and with our federal law enforcement, because if you're not, we are going to come after you, she said. Our leaders have to support our law enforcement. She's demanding a response by 19 August. That's 4 days from now. And she wants each of these city leaders to, quote, confirm their commitment with complying with federal law and to identify the immediate initiatives that they're taking to eliminate laws, policies, and practices that impede federal immigration enforcement. So the whip, she's a kraken. I like this. I like this version of Pam Bondi. Very happy with this version of Pam Bondi. I've issued a couple of notes of concern about Pam Bondi. This is not the spot where I'm concerned about her. I'm loving what's going on with immigration enforcement right now, and I'm glad to get this additional update on that. Now, speaking of immigration enforcement, it was a hilarious moment yesterday outside of an event that Gavin Newsom was doing in California. The Trump administration started doing an immigration raid right outside the building. Take a look here. Cut 5. Here's a bunch of immigration law enforcement going after illegals right outside Gavin Newsom's fancy event.
Just outside of the downtown LA venue where Governor Gavin Newsom was actually holding a press conference today. And it appears that those Border Patrol agents are making arrests, illegal immigrants that I don't know if they were at this press conference, if they were in the area, but this is a very, as John put it when we first saw this video, a very in-your-face way to let, Democrats know that you are going to do your job, that you're going to carry out these Trump policies.
I love it. I love it so much. Meanwhile, Newsom's inside and he's utterly raging. He is just having a horrible time. Take a look here. Cut 7. Here's Gavin Newsom raging that immigration enforcement took place. And you can tell how much Donald Trump lives inside of this guy's greasy head, because he starts complaining that somebody sent him a Trump 2028 hat. Listen to Gavin Newsom.
I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat from one of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around. The rules do not apply to him. The most corrupt president in history. He doesn't believe in free enterprise, crony capitalism. He is wrecking this country, wrecking the economy. He's a lawless president. Wake up, America. Wake up to what's going on.
Oh, I love that so much. He said, Trump's going to run again. Trump's going to run again. You know how I know? Somebody sent me a Trump 2028 hat. You're the mark, Newsom. You're the guy. We're exactly the guy we're hoping to troll. You gave us the reaction that we were hoping for. Thank you for that. I'm going to assume that it was somebody in this great audience that sent him the hat. Thank you for that. We should send Newsom more Trump 2028 swag, don't you think? Trump 2028 cakes, Trump 2028 cufflinks, Trump 2028 hats, Trump 2028 T-shirts. Take your pick. Just keep them coming. He's an authoritarian. He's going to run again. Okay. All right. Settle down, son. Greasy Gavin Newsom. Freaking out yesterday. I'm sorry, Gavin. The jig is up, brother. Your whole illegal alien scheme, the one that you've been making all this money from, he's taking money from the illegal alien lobby. He's trying to protect all this. He thinks Democrats are going to get a lot of power out of this. They've drawn a lot of congressional districts based on these illegal aliens. He's watching all of it disappear. And so in an act of desperation, he says Trump's a despot. Trump's an authoritarian because somebody made a hilarious hat and sent it to him that said Trump 2028. It's great. But you're not going to stop this train, Gavin. In fact, Kristi Noem had a great announcement on television last night. Here she is, cut 17, saying, actually, at this point, 1.6 million illegals have left the United States. I assume that the 1.6 she's referring to are the ones who've left on their own. They can't stand the heat, so they're getting out of the kitchen.
1.6 illegal immigrants that have left this country voluntarily. And I think these numbers just show exactly the genius of Donald J. Trump. The brilliant mind that he has, that when he was elected in November, he knew he had to make America safe again. And he said, Kristi, if you're going to be my Homeland Security Secretary, we're going to follow the law. You're going to do commercials. You're going to tell the world that no longer will we tolerate people being in our country illegally and that they need to go home.
Yeah. Nope. You got to go. So that's 1.6 million who did it voluntarily. That doesn't count the many, many thousands that the Trump administration has taken into custody, continues to take in custody, and gets out of this country. And they're in the process, to be clear, of hiring a lot more ICE agents right now. They want to bring in 10,000 more ICE agents, and that's to do a lot more deportations. So that mission, chef's kiss. I'm loving what's happening there. Loving how ticked off the left is about it. And I love that the president just keeps doubling down on fulfilling the very thing he ran on, and that was so popular in all of the polling. Mass deportations. Get the illegals out of the country that were brought in by Biden in the first place. I'll take it. I definitely will. All right, let's dive into Russiagate now. I've got a couple of updates for you on Russiagate that I'm very encouraged by. Last night, Sean Hannity on his program had two important guests on this subject. They were talking about a whole bunch of other things because, of course, as you just heard, Pam Bondi's involved in a lot. That includes taking over the D.C. Police Department and trying to clean up crime in the nation's capital and prosecuting the guy who threw the Subway sandwich at a federal law enforcement officer. You see that guy was a member of the Justice Department? Yeah, so in addition to being charged with a felony, he was fired from his job yesterday, the emotionally incontinent psychopath lefty. Yeah, good. I'm glad he's out of the administration. What was he doing there to begin with? Pam Bondi pointed out that guy's just a deep state actor, one of the many people who's creating impediments to getting all of this done correctly. But she also talked about, thankfully, the Russiagate disclosures and where things are headed next. Now, you and I are going to have to do a little bit of reading between the lines. The way the Justice Department handles all of this is they have to be mum on the specifics of an investigation and prosecutions until we see the actual public pieces come out, the indictments. But I'm telling you, you listen to this and see if you arrive at the same conclusion I did. Something very big is definitely happening. Listen to Cut 18. Here's Pam Bondi talking about how she can't confirm or deny the existence of a grand jury going after Obama world.
Can't confirm or deny whether we have a grand jury, an open investigation on anyone, but the weaponization of our government has ended. And Tulsi Gabbard, John Radcliffe, Kash Patel, they're doing a great job, and no one in this country is above the law.
That's a phrase we've heard a lot. No one is above the law. Usually the way we hear that phrase is the left uses it as they're prosecuting Trump or Trump supporters. No one is above the law, they say, as they put Peter Navarro in leg shackles. Nobody's above the law as they arrest and prosecute Steve Bannon. Nobody's above the law as they destroy Mike Flynn's life or go after Mark Houck or parents who go to school board meetings or attack President Trump in every left-wing district they can possibly misuse in an election year. That's the move. And here you have Pam Bondi going, look, I can't confirm or deny this thing. Now, here's the reality. We knew back on August 4th. On August 4th, earlier this month, I know the news cycles move so quickly. Sometimes it's easy to forget. 11 days ago, it came out that Pam Bondi had assigned a prosecutor to go after the Russiagate conspiracy and to impanel a grand jury for that. Remember, the only thing that you and I are really discussing on that subject was where will that be impaneled? Will it be Florida? Will it be Washington, D.C.? Will it be Virginia, perhaps? You know, there's a lot of options here. Now, preferably, it's not Washington, D.C. Of all the places you could possibly go, not D.C. D.C. is a rigged game. It's designed to just give the left what it wants, no matter what happens. So, no. Let's do this somewhere else. And I think the administration is very clearly thinking about that. So let me just tell you, the sum total of what we know right now is leading up to, yes, they are in the process of drawing up prosecutions. Yes, these grand juries are real, and yes, it's going to result in something. That's what that's what everything's pointing to right now. Now, here's what back when that grand jury announcement was made 11 days ago, here's what David Spunt reported on Fox about that. That's Cut 19. Listen to this.
Attorney General Pam Bondi today signed an order directing an unnamed U.S. federal prosecutor to take evidence to a grand jury relating to an alleged conspiracy to tie then 2016 candidate Donald Trump to the country of Russia. Now, Fox News reviewed the one-page order just hours ago signed by the Attorney General. A source familiar with the probe confirms this as well, while a DOJ spokesperson declined to comment on this report of an investigation. Fox is told Attorney General Bondi is taking the referrals from Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, quote, very seriously. The spokesperson says that Bondi believes there is, quote, clear cause for deep concern, end quote, and a need for the next step.
All right. All right. So that's just, I'm just putting the pieces together because, again, sometimes it's hard to keep track of everything that's happened. But that was August 4th. And now we're at August 15th, and we get more indication from Pam Bondi. You can even see the smile on her face if you're watching us, rumble.com/Vince. And she says, I can't confirm or deny. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take whatever I can get on this. Kash Patel was also, and perhaps far more interestingly, was on TV last night right after Pam Bondi. So he heard Pam Bondi's answer, and he talked about this with Sean Hannity. Take a look, cut 20. Here's Kash Patel, the director of the FBI.
Well, Sean, what we're doing is building a case for the American public under the Truth and Transparency and Accountability Initiative. And what I mean by that is AG Bondi brilliantly highlighted our partners, Director Ratcliffe at the CIA and Director Gabbard over at the DNI. We are working with them because the documents that would facilitate an investigation of this magnitude don't just rest at the FBI and DOJ. They're throughout the intelligence community. And we, the Russiagate guys like Johnny Ratcliffe and myself who investigated this and exposed this, are trying to expose documentation that we've known existed for years. At the same time, we're finding new material. So the best approach is to release this information with them and also go to our colleagues in Congress who have an oversight function on the judiciary committees and oversight committees and demand from us information and documentation that we can publicize. Things like the Durham Annex, which we've known have existed this entire time, but were classified for political reasons.
Classified for political reasons. So they're building the case. You heard him say there. They're building a case right now. The FBI doesn't build cases for science projects. This is not a science fair. They're not preparing a volcano where you dump a bunch of vinegar and baking soda into the middle of a tube and watch it explode. That's not what's happening here. They're building a criminal case against the conspiracy, and they're being unusually transparent about the information that they're gathering as they build this case. Listen to cut 21. Now, what you're about to hear from Kash Patel, he continues here, is he uses some phrasing here to describe what they're going after. He says it's not just the crime. You've heard versions of this before. It's the cover-up. And I can't help but be stuck on that word cover-up as I listen to this, because I'm beginning to think that this is the area where they feel like they've got the best legal case to take these guys down. Take a listen. Cut 21, the director of the FBI.
Here's the beauty of it, Sean. You don't have to trust me or trust you. That's all. Everything you recited, the summary you just gave, is years of excavating documents that these deep state actors held and buried and documented their own corruption because they were arrogant enough to think no one would ever find it, that Donald Trump would never become president and appoint a cabinet that would go in and investigate this matter thoroughly. And when you start connecting the dots, here's what I learned, Sean, when I ran the Russiagate investigation. As bad as the crime is, the corruption cover-up from senior government officials who are sworn to uphold their duties and accountability for the American public, they are the ones that violated that trust the most internally and need to be held accountable.
I think that you just heard a big tip of the hand from the director of the FBI. At this moment, none of us can know exactly what charges might come from all of this. But he said it's not just the crimes, which of course are awful. It's the cover-ups that are massive here. So when you cover something up, that means trying to compel other people to lie to the public, to fake intelligence against your political enemies and use it as a weapon against them. It's to lie. It's to destroy documents. It's to try and hide evidence of your corruption. I don't think Kash Patel, believe me, and I think by this point you and I both share this view, I think he's measured in the words he uses as he describes this. Everybody is restrained by the justice process here. All the FBI, the Justice Department, Pam Bondi, there's only so much they can say in public until we see actual indictments. But these guys feel the pressure. Don't you question that for a moment. There's no situation where these guys are saying to themselves, oh, people will just be fine if there's no indictments. Oh, don't worry, they'll get over it. We're just telling them what happened and we'll all move on. We'll brush ourselves off and the country will be fine. No, real accountability, that's the word you keep hearing, means indictments, prosecutions, convictions, and sentences. I'll keep demanding that because that is what the country needs. And I know you're demanding it too. Good to see the two of them on TV last night. Every time those guys open their mouths, I'm going to scrutinize every word they're saying because I'm looking for all the breadcrumbs I can get on this thing. And I know you are too. But I was encouraged last night to hear what they're going after. And I do think that when Kash Patel indicates it's not just the crime, there's the cover-up. That's the thing people should focus on. That's another way of saying there may be some charges coming on that very issue. Great to have you with us, as always, on this edition of Vince. Very much appreciate you. The President of the United States is meeting with Vladimir Putin today. The fallout from whatever happens at that event we'll surely be talking about coming up next week on this program. Got a lot of great guests already lined up for you for next week. A lot of newsmakers coming up. Boy, I can't wait to share with you news about indictments, prosecutions, and convictions and sentences. It's a big deal. Kind of love the country. I'd like to see it get back on the right track. I got the big national radio show coming up today, 12 to 3 Eastern time. We'll be giving you all the previews necessary ahead of the president's meeting with Vladimir Putin. You can listen to that, thevinceshow.com, find your local listing, or go to rumble.com/Vince. You can watch us live, participate in the chat. You can yell at me. You can support me. Perhaps we'll bring Major in. Yeah, Major, my dog. He likes to stop by the radio show. We got a lot going on today. Thank you, as always, for joining me on this edition of Vince. Coming up next, right here on Rumble, Tim Pool does it. That's right, Tim Pool. Here he comes.